Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the NORA B Series here presented by J Deadlift Broadcasting. And tonight is going to be a special night for you all. It's throwback night as we head to Darlington Raceway for the Darlington 125 presented by the NORA B Series. And this is the 25th race of the season, long season in the NORA B Series. And only one race following this next week at Richmond. And that's going to set our top 12 drivers. So a lot of points on the line here tonight. And some drivers going to need some points to get in or out of the of those top 12 and race for the championship. Those kind of on the border. You might see some names tonight, but Cory Wharton was your points leader as of 2 weeks ago. We need to get those updated, and we'll get them to you as quick as possible. Dalton Tucker was second, Todd Slauson third, Sean Briscoe fourth, Chad Engel fifth, Bruce Ackerman sixth. I believe you will see all those drivers tonight. Colby Wells in seventh, Ryan Kendrick eighth, Matthew George ninth, Josh Thaxton 10th, Trey James 11th, and Mark Stryker 12th. Some of those drivers you might see, some you won't see. So be sure to check that on out as we wrap up season number 2 of the NORA B Series. Like we said, Darlington tonight, Richmond next week, and the following week, the first week of the playoffs, heads to Bristol Motor Speedway. That's going to be a fun one there. The quickest half mile on the circuit that we have. That should be a good one. 3 races in the round of 12, and then 3 in the round of 8, and then 1 for the championship. That championship 4, championship night at Phoenix. And that will be on November 11th, 2020. And you see the field getting set to go on the grid. So let's bring you through the starting grid of the NORA B Series. Darlington 125. Dalton Tucker, we've seen his name up at the front all season long. And once again, he's up there on the pole. On his outside, it's going to be Drayton Cook in the 89 machine. He rolls off in the number 2 spot. Continuing on down your list, Bruce Ackerman in the 69 machine. Nice. He will start 3rd. Trevor Apollo is 4th. Brandon Andrews will roll off 5th on his outside. Todd Slauson takes the green in 6th. As we continue on down the grid, Sean Briscoe will roll off 7th. Chad Engel in 8th. Matthew George in 9th. And Justin White starts in 10th. Brian Powell will roll off 11th. And Jake Boyer will start in 12th. Tim Averill will roll off 13th. Cory Wharton in 14th. And Martin Plute rounding out our field. He starts in 15th. A couple of those drivers' names you recognize from the NORA B Series. Some a little bit different for anyone that this might be our first time watching, or you might have forgotten any drivers with the O next to their name. They're not racing for those points that we talked about at the start of the broadcast. They're racing for owner's points, thus the O. Anyone you see with an R or just nothing after their name, they're racing for those driver's points. So they're the drivers trying to make that top 12. Everyone else going for owner's points. So pay attention to that. And as the field gets lined up, let's take you really quickly through Darlington Raceway. You get a good peek at it here. 23 to 25 degrees of banking in the turns, and it is that odd shape. It's not a symmetrical racetrack, so you're going to see drivers really struggle with the exit off of turns 2 and 4. We saw in practice a lot of drivers getting tight up into that wall. Very common here at Darlington, so don't be surprised if we see some of that here tonight. Field going to make 1 lap around this racetrack behind that Ford Mustang pace car. And we'll get set to go green here shortly, led by the 24 of Dalton Tucker. Good look at all the paint schemes on those 2 black cars. We'll try and keep you updated on their numbers as they're going to try and give us a little trouble here tonight. as they're completely blacked out. You see one with the red, one with the green. I believe that is Sean Briscoe in the green. And just in front of him, we'll get that to you here shortly. Pace car is going to make that hard left-hand turn on the pit road. And then 24 is going to lead us to green here at Darlington. Long front stretch here, and the 24 takes the green, takes off. He's got the 69 right behind him. Not a great jump by the 89 of Cook on the outside, but the outside might be the spot to be here in turns 1 and 2. Curious to see what line runs in. We saw a lot of guys prefer the outside, but you see him drift down toward the bottom off of turn 2. No trouble through turns 1 and 2 for the top 4. Right behind, Brandon Andrews. Gonna ride on up on that top side. Andrews is that red and black car. Sean Briscoe is that green and black car. We'll try and remind you of that a couple more times here tonight, as we'll surely forget as well, but ride along with us for the ride all night long. Taking a look back through the rest of the field. Looks like everyone's going to single file on out here. Dalton Tucker out to a commanding lead so far. We'll see if anyone can challenge here at the start of the race. Darlington going to eat up tires a little bit as well. And we got to go 31 laps before we get that first stage break. So a bit of racing that we'll get before anything really kicks on off here. And so far, so good for a lot of these guys. The top 3 all single file. Tucker, Ackerman, and Cook. And Trevor Apollo back there in 4th in that Dollar General Toyota Supra. He's trying to make his way back up toward the front. Sean Briscoe and Brandon Andrews, they've sorted their thing out. And Todd Slauson trying to hold off the 29 in that Mossy Oak Bass Pro Shops of Chad Engel back there. Good-looking paint scheme for the 29 right there. And we really talk about it week in and week out, just how good some of these paint schemes are. The NORA B Series does run specific sponsors, so you have your own specific sponsor as well as your own specific car number. And you see just how cool that ends up looking for a lot of these guys. Dalton Tucker, especially one of my personal favorites, running the 24. So you see Jeff Gordon schemes, some William Byron schemes, all over that Toyota Supra, the 24, which makes for an interesting little tidbit week in and week out. This is your closest battle here on the track, about 1/10 of a second separating the 22 and the 29 as they go to work. And you see the guys drifting toward the high side in turns 3 and 4. We'll see if they continue to make that work. And the 29, a little bit of trouble right there, and he's got damage to the front fender of that. Looks like there might have been a bit of checkup as Chad Engel gets into the back end of the 22. We didn't quite see that on the initial watch. Looked like it might have actually been a little bit of net code not working in favor of the 29. That's a tough break right there for Chad Engel as he's down to the bottom, trying to hold on to it back in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, excuse me, as he crosses the start-finish line. Now he's under attack from Justin White in the 9, and right behind him, Brian Powell in the 5, sending it on deep. For the moment, holding off White in that number 5, that black and green Toyota Supra, and now Powell in that number 5 NOS machine, trying to go to work on the bottom groove. We've seen drivers really look comfortable on the top side. It'll be curious to see if they continue to run there, or if we see guys start to poke to this bottom side. You see the 98 of Tim Averill start to think about heading to the bottom line. Further on back, Cory Wharton, the name I would expect to see jump up toward the front of the pack here before too long. Tucker and Wharton have really been that 1-2 punch all season long. Both drivers really, really tight, and Wharton just has not been the beneficiary of any good luck. He's got one win, and it came on a road course, I believe. As we look right now, Cory Wharton at Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course did pick up the win there. But other than that, Dalton Tucker has absolutely dominated wins at Dover, Iowa, New Hampshire, Kentucky, Pocono, Iowa, Charlotte Oval, the Dash for Points race way back in May. Dalton Tucker is just all over that wins list. He won at Daytona to start the year, and he's continuing to win here in the NORA B Series. So the 24, no stranger to the front of the pack, and the number 20 trying to make his way up there and really challenge a little bit. But big grouping right here of drivers: Powell, Engel, April, White, and Wharton. All kind of mixed on up right here. About half a second separates a couple of these drivers as we check back in on your leader, Dalton Tucker. Starting to just pull on away as he seems to run a fantastic line here at Darlington. Let's go for a ride on the 24. That wall coming off of turn 4 does come out at you quick, as well as the wall off of turn 2 comes. And you hear how quick Tucker is to get back on the throttle here in turn 1. Able to pull it up to that outside retaining wall and then just get a really good run off. Had to lift a little bit there coming out of the corner. But able to get such a good run off and be on the accelerator for so long down that back straightaway and get to that top speed. And the 24 looking very good in that throwback Jurassic Park paint scheme tonight. And Ackerman in that Hardee's machine that we've seen a couple times this year. Just a little bit further back there in second. You go further on back to Trevor Apollo, who's made his way up to third. We saw him drop back to fourth and I believe fifth a little moment to go. But he's by the 89 of Drayton Cook as you look at the 89 Rooftop Bar Tours Chevy Camaro right there. And rounding out your top 5 is going to be Sean Briscoe in that 36. Without a 36 here tonight, almost looking like a test car. And that might be some kind of homage to throwback or even a look forward to the next gen of cars. We'll have to ask Mr. Briscoe about that at some point during the race. Let's run through the rest of your field here as we approach halfway in stage number 1. Todd Slauson in the 22. He rides in the 6th. Right behind him, Matthew George in the 28. Epilepsy Foundation Supra. See if he can make his way up toward the front. And Brandon Andrews in the other all blacked out car. He rides in 8th. Brian Powell in the number 5. We mix it up a little bit with the guys behind him, but he's seemingly pulled away a little bit, opening up the gap to Abril behind him to almost a full second. It's at about 0.8 of a second right now. And let's go back to Abril in the 98 as he's under attack from Justin White in the 9 and Cory Wharton in the 20. White trying to do everything he can off the corner, and the 98 up into the wall. Abril goes into the wall. Looks like the 9 might have avoided the worst of the damage. Obviously a little banged up is the hood. We'll go to the onboard camera. You can tell a little bit of damage on that right front. That might hurt with these long straightaways, the front and back straightaway. Pretty tough in the 98. Looking really banged up if we take a look from the gearbox of that machine. You see that spoiler bent up a little bit, but kind of looking A-okay right now as you see Justin White fall to the number 20. Now up into the wall is the 98 once again. Really struggling to get a grip of this car. And here comes Cory Wharton on the outside. Wharton up on the top side. He's going to try and sneak by, and he will do it. Abril drifts up the track a little bit, and here comes White around the outside as well. I think that last hit into the wall really hurt Tim Abril. started 13th. He's now up to 12th, but in a little bit of trouble here as we're seeing the 98 really struggle for control. A lot of damage to the rear of that car, and this is a good time to remind you that these drivers do not get that fast repair. You might have heard it talked about on the Pro Invitational iRacing quite a bit. You might hear it talked about if you're a regular of iRacing, the ability to get fast repairs in some races. This is not one of them. The drivers will get their damage fixed in real time, and not all your damage is going to be fixed like in a fast repair where you can get engine damage and be able to fix it. Not the case in the NORA B Series. So the 98 needs that stage break, and he needs to spend a lot of time there on pit road trying to get that thing fixed on up. Behind him in the flatline graphic Chevy Camaro is Jake Boyer. That's a good looking machine right there. Scored as a 000 on your ticker, but he's got only 1 0 on that car here tonight. Behind him, Chad Engel in the 29. We saw Engel get into the back end of one of the drivers and has just kind of fallen on off. Last lap at 31.433. For reference, your leader, Dalton Tucker, a 30.8. So a good bit off the pace for Mr. Engel. We'll see if he can get that thing fixed on up. And rounding out your field is the 12 of Martin Plute. He's back there. He's bringing it all the way down to the apron. I'm not quite sure. He might be bringing it on the pit road here, and it looks like he is. So number 12 might be calling it a night as we flash you back to your leader, Dalton Tucker. Tucker in a good spot, but you know who's under attack? It's the 69 of Bruce Ackerman, as Apollo has snuck around him, and now Drayton Cook looking to take advantage as well. We mentioned it a little bit, the ability of these guys to save and use tires as they will. There are no tire limits in the NORA B Series just yet. And Josh can correct me if I'm wrong there. I think we instituted it last week, actually. So we're gonna wait on race control Josh to let us know about that. But especially important to save tires on these long green flag runs like this, where you're just going stage to stage, kind of green flag to stage break, and then we'll go stage break to stage break. With such clean racing that we have in the NORA B Series, you would really expect that. A lot of green flag laps, a lot of this single file racing. And unfortunately or fortunately for some of these drivers, that really wears on the tires. We are getting confirmation from Mr. Edelman and Mr. Conover. Our tire limits 3 sets in the pits here tonight. So we'll probably see a change here at the stage, both stage breaks, and then the pit stop there in stage number 3. And then the question becomes, when you change those tires in stage number 3, if maybe you're thinking we're going to see a late race caution. But paramount for a lot of these drivers to really save those tires. And you see it right here, actually, a little bit of damage to the 69 might be slowing them down quite a bit. You see the right front fender of that Hardy's machine banged on up, and Drayton Cook, a little bit of internet issues right there as you see him to spear and come right back. But Darlington, a track that's really tough on the tires, and that's, you pay attention to the lines that these cars are running. A lot of times you're coming from the outside and then cutting into that inside groove, and that's very hard on that right front tire. And when you see drivers get up into that wall coming off of turn 4 and off of turn 2, that's where you see that right front just start to give on out, and the car gets tight, meaning it doesn't want to turn. And that's when you see drivers who stay on the accelerator get into that outside retaining wall. So as we're coming to the end of stage number 1, reminder that that caution will fly on lap 31. Your biggest battle on the track right here is the 98 of April going after the 9 of White. We saw April get a little bit of damage to that machine after getting up into the wall. couple times. Now trying to go back to work on Justin White in the 9. It looks like he has a bit of damage to the right front of that machine. And that might be a common theme here tonight, seeing damage to the right front fender of a lot of these race cars. But the car can take it to an extent. What you don't want is the aerodynamics to be affected, like you might see with April here in the 98, just with these long straightaways. Keeping the car clean and keeping it aerodynamically sound makes it very, very important. Good pass right here to end stage number 1. Slauson going to sneak by Briscoe. We'll see if he can hold on to that here. Coming to the start-finish line, it looks like he will. Ackerman and Cook also very tight there. And green pastures ahead for the 24, as we should be getting our stage caution here momentarily. And as soon as we say that, there it is. The spotters right there getting everything squared away for their drive, just letting everybody know where the pace car is. And now starting to talk strategy. So pace car on the back straightaway, and you see the leaders coming up to catch on up and stack on up. We'll see some service down pit road. Before we get too long into this, and with the stage cautions like this, you can't afford to do something kind of wacky. Maybe 2 tires, maybe a different set of tires. Or, I'm sorry, left side tires. And you see that newly added pit light there on iRacing. Should be green, but it's showing up for us as red. Should be green, signifying that pit road is open. That's a cool new addition, thanks to the iRacing Season 4 patch that came out today. You see the number 12 of Martin Ploot stay on out. He is 4 laps down, so he will have to pit on the next lap. We'll stay here and check this race off of pit road. Reminder that iRacing does not model those pit crews in terms of movement. So you won't see the crew members jump up over the wall. You'll just see the car shift on up the other side. Looks like everyone taking 4 tires and fuel. And as I say that, 24 gets beat off of pit road, 18.7 seconds for Tucker. So I don't know if he had a little bit of damage he needed to fix or what, but the 24 losing a couple spots on pit road. Trevor Apollo coming out on top. He takes 4 tires and fuel with a 14.4 second stop. Right behind him, Bruce Ackerman, the 69, with a 14.3 second stop. So both those pit crews really going to work, and you know who did the most on pit road. It's the number 20's pit crew with a 14.1 second stop. That's your quickest stop of that session, and jumps him all the way up to 8th. Cory Wharton, who started back there in 14th, jumping to 8th. After this restart, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the number 20 start to pick his way closer and closer to that top 5. So after stage number 1, Dalton Tucker was your stage winner. But coming out in first after that is going to be the number 90 of Trevor Apollo. And we can take a moment to really sit back and think about what Dirty Air is going to do. And you're going to see it right here on this restart. Dalton Tucker in the 24 starting in the outside second row. He really dominated the first stage, won by over a 2-second gap. So definitely the 24 has the speed to win here tonight. But being in the air, that's being chopped up by the cars in front of him, will that cause any kind of difference? We've seen it in a lot of cars, and it's especially prevalent in the real life racers when they go to Darlington. We'll see how it's handled in iRacing. We didn't really notice too much of it in the first run, as passing just seemed somewhat tire based, but I'd be curious to see if maybe we get a little more struggle to pass in the second stage. But definitely things to talk about with your crew chief, and one thing I would definitely be reminding my driver of is that this is a long stage. Conserve your tires here in these first couple laps. Maybe you give up a position or two, but you saw how many drivers started falling further and further back at the end of that stage, and you just got to put yourself in a good position at the stage finish. Maybe get on pit road quicker and get off quicker, and then be in a good spot to start stage number 3. Number 90 coming flying off of turn 4. Green flag in the air, and Apollo gets a huge jump. Tucker going to slide into third, but Ackerman and Tucker way out in front as they come off of turns 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway, you get a good look at the whole entire field there. Everyone's single file down the back straight. But here comes Ackerman in the 69. Ackerman with a good run through 3 and 4. He's looking very quick there. And don't look now, but Dalton Tucker wasting no time trying to get his lead back from Apollo. So pay attention here. We're really going to notice how the dirty air affects that Toyota Supra 24 machine. How easily is he able to get around the 69, especially on these newer tires? You're going to get a good idea of it in these next couple laps. Behind Tucker, it's Cook, Slauson, and Briscoe all mixing on up, and it looks like Tucker starting to stall his run out a little bit. Slauson hanging on. He's got Briscoe right in his rear view mirror in that black and green machine. Sean Briscoe, we saw him a couple races ago, put together a good little spot. And Briscoe, one of those drivers racing for points. So he's trying to beat Slauson and Tucker and maybe Ackerman if he can do it. So 36 definitely trying to push here in stage number 2. Back to your lead. Apollo holding on by about 3, maybe 4 car lengths. And that's going to get way closed down in 3 and 4. It's the 69 and the 24 absolutely flying through there. They've cut it down to a 1 car length gap between Apollo and Ackerman and Tucker. Tucker on the back bumper of the 69 gives a little ground right there, trying to stay out of the rear bumper. We talked about it right before last stage break. Keeping your car as clean as possible. And right now, those top 3 drivers, all with fairly clean cars. Ackerman with a little bit of damage to that right front. But other than that, those drivers with clean race cars, no damage to most of those. And the cleaner you can keep it, the faster you can go down these straightaways. And the more willing that car is going to be to turn off the corner. As the more damage you get, or the more damage you accumulate, the harder and harder it's going to get off of turns 2 and 4. And those are really the danger zones at Darlington Raceway, the track too tough to tame. And it's not as prevalent nowadays. But way back when, I know a lot of you at home totally remember the Darlington stripe that they talk about. That big black stripe you get on the right side of your car after smacking that wall. Usually out of turn 2, but really you can get it out of turn 2 and 4. And here goes Tucker to the inside. He's going to try and battle Ackerman. Ackerman going to give it up right there. Thought he might have had the outside-inside move, but Tucker chops it on off, and after a couple laps of work, the 24 back to the 2 spot. Just a little bit better, but you look who's pulled away over that challenge. It's the number 90 of Apollo. He goes down that front straightaway. The top 4 really all within about a second and a half of each other. So not out of the woods yet. Briscoe just a little bit further back, leading Slauson, George, and Powell as they go down the back straightaway. Down to the bottom side goes Powell in that number 5 machine. We haven't seen anyone really utilize the bottom. It looks like he's going to be able to here in 3 and 4. Good move by the number 5, and you might have saw him right there in the back of your screen. Cory Wharton. He'd started this stage number 2 and 8th. He's dropped back to 9th. Might be saving a little bit of those tires. This is number 20. Very smart, very skilled racer. And I don't suspect we've seen the last of him before this one is said and done. Todd Slauson, Brian Powell, 6th and 7th. Slauson started in 6th. Powell started back in 11th. These two drivers mixing on up 1/10 of a second, separating the two of them. And Powell looks like he's just waiting for a mistake. And then capitalize as soon as possible. Back to your front. Trevor Apollo still holding on by the margin of about half a second. Dalton Tucker in the 24 still trying to chase him down. He's opened up a gap of about 1 second between him and Bruce Ackerman. Drayton Cook trying to reel in Ackerman just a little bit. This Cook looks like he might have a little less damage on the front end of that machine. Hard to tell from up here in the box. Well, we'll really be able to ask the drivers here, especially if we get a driver coming away with a top 3 spot with a little bit of damage, just how it affected the machine all night long. You get a good look at it right here from the hood of Drayton Cook. We are in the middle of the day, so shadows starting to become a thing, but a good cloudy, overcast sky. Okay. Going to continue to lead us through the Darlington 125. "48 laps complete, coming to 49. 77 still to go. Only 1 lead change and 1 yellow flag. That was your stage break just a moment ago. See the gap right there from high up above Darlington Raceway between Trevor Apollo, your leader, and Dalton Tucker, the driver who really dominated the first stage. And he's trying to make his way back toward the front. Had to battle past the 69 of Bruce Ackerman. And let's get a good look at that battle, actually, as Ackerman now under attack from the 89 of Cook. Cook all the way to the back bumper, not able to make a move just yet. We've seen Cook be pretty strong in the middle of these runs so far tonight. Only had really 1 long run that first stage, but Cook's starting to come on as of late. So we head further and further into stage number 2. Reminder that that stage caution going to come on lap 62, so only about 10 laps left. As these laps quickly flying by. Back behind them, Slauson leads a group of himself, Powell, and Wharton. As Wharton trying to make that bottom work for him a little bit. Really kind of looks like one line of racing has become prevalent. All the drivers really comfortable with that one line. And Darlington, a very tough track that a lot of drivers might not be as comfortable with as maybe, say, an Atlanta or a Texas or maybe a Michigan International Speedway. those pretty easy mile and a halfers. Atlanta maybe not so much just because of the track surface and the temperatures. But maybe Michigan, where it's a 2-mile speedway where you can stay pretty flat out. But a lot different here. And 24 might have had a little bit of a slip up here as you see the gap now between Rapallo and Tucker. 1.3 seconds. So I don't know if Tucker had a little bit of an issue, and it does look like he does have damaged the right side of that machine. We'll see if we can find that for you, and it looks like right there, 24 maybe getting up into the wall. As he was closing on the number 90. And then back in 3 and 4. Maybe coming off of turn 4, actually. Doesn't look like it's there, so I apologize for that. But you see just a little bit of damage on the right front quarter panel. And we talked about needing to keep the car as clean as possible for an issue like this. That now all of a sudden you're not able to track down a Trevor Apollo. Drayton Cook leading this group of cars. Himself, Ackerman, Briscoe, and Slauson all trying to move on up. They fly down the front straightaway at 57 of 125. You get a great look at it here. Just the gaps between these cars as they head down the back straightaway. Todd Slauson up to the top side. He's going to be let go by Sean Briscoe right there. Two drivers battling for points. So surprising to see that the 22 gets the go-ahead from the 36. Briscoe lets him sneak on by, and that's another position for Sean Briscoe. Or excuse me, Todd Slauson in the 22. This gap between first and second starting to open on up once again. Now up to 1.6 seconds. And you know who's looking forward to the stage break? It's the 24 of Dalton Tucker. He'll be able to fix that damage up. He might get shuffled back in the field a little bit, and we talked about it. You just want to put yourself in a good position right here because we've seen the dirty air really affect these drivers. We've seen track position be so important. So you want to put yourself in a good spot here at the end of this stage to be good to go for stage number 3. Sean Briscoe, he's trying to sneak on by the 69 of Ackerman. And actually Ackerman sneaking by the 36. We just saw the 36 battle the 22 of Slauson, who's all the way up to 4th. Good run for Todd Slauson. We saw him really battle last week at Daytona. And just unlucky for the 22. And in the post-race, you heard a couple drivers really mention how they thought the 22 of Slauson was overdue for some good luck. So maybe we'll see the 22 able to sneak up into that top 3 and be able to talk to him here tonight post-race. Lap 61 of 125. Coming to lap 62. Coming to finish the stage, and barring any kind of incident, Trevor Apollo in the number 90 going to be your stage 2 winner in the Dollar General Toyota Supra here tonight. And Dalton Tucker can just look out the front windshield and hope and pray that he can get that car fixed on up on pit lane. That is our stage caution. Has waved. Brandon Andrews crossing the start-finish line. Jake Boyer still on the lead lap. He's the furthest car all the way down. You see him just crossing that start-finish line, and a lot of damage to the right side of that machine. Might have had a couple kisses with that outside retaining wall. It's Jake Boyer. We saw him actually really flourish there at the Daytona race. He jumped up to the front. That's kind of where he wanted to stay. A late race caution forced the 0 into just an unfortunate circumstance of events. Dropped out of the top 3, and we thought he had it really locked up all night long. And thought we'd see a repeat performance from Boyer here tonight. Right now, maybe struggling with the track a little bit. You see a little bit of damage to that machine as well. Definitely not helping either. As all the lead lap cars going to head down pit lane. They do get those 3 sets of tires for all these drivers. It's going to be set number 2 on this stage break pit stop. Jake Boyer looks like he's going to stay out here as we flash you to the end of pit lane here to catch the race off of pit road. Most drivers, I would imagine, take 4 tires and fuel and set themselves up for stage number 3, where we expect to see some kind of green flag pit stops, and that'll provide us a variety of different kind of strategies, if you will. Apollo, Cook, George, and Wharton, all drivers that have come off pit lane already. Slauson as well, and you saw Dalton Tucker tap that outside retaining wall. We found the damage on the front end of his car. His team will spend 41 seconds on pit road cleaning that machine up, and he's going to drop all the way back to 7th. Jake Boyer staying out and leading a lap here under yellow flag. He's actually going to lead the field as they enter stage number 3. Boyer not choosing to go down pit lane under this stage break. An interesting little strategy here by Boyer. Pitted 32 laps ago, and he might just be picking up that bonus point. As the caution going to be delayed here. You heard it from the spotters above, not going. And the lights coming back on that Ford Mustang pace car. As the field needing time to settle on down here. Might be giving the 0 a chance to head down pit lane. We'll see if he stays out or ends up taking that left-hand turn to pit lane. It looks like he's going to choose door number 2. Jake Boyer going to go try and get that machine fixed up. Should get the 1 to go here, and that's going to put Trevor Apollo in the lead with Matthew George on his outside. You should be hearing a little more of those race car engines. I apologize about that. Not my choice at all. Sometimes I'm going to just play with the audio a little bit, so I appreciate you letting me know, and we can get that a little more action. You should have a little better feel for it now. iRacing did also update the ambient sounds. So definitely trying to get that to you here tonight. Reminder that the number 90 took a huge jump last time, and he's going to take another huge jump again. Coming off of turn 4 very quick. Drayton Cook on the outside. Going to try and follow suit. And you see the sun poking out for the first time here tonight as the drivers head down in turns 1 and 2. All the way up toward the top side. Go the leaders, trying to hold on for dear life as everybody else Apollo up there at the top side. He's got Drayton Cook right behind him, the 90 and the 89. Up there in first and second, you see the 24 already going to work. He's going to try and sneak by the 28 of Matthew George. Do it, he will. Dalton Tucker leading this group, and look who it is. Cory Wharton in the number 20. He's sneaking his way back on up as well. A gaggle of cars right behind him. Sean Briscoe, Brandon Andrews, and Brian Powell all seemingly stuck in a parking lot as they head down the front straight. Those top four really spread on out, but the next 4 or 5 cars all stuck together. And we were curious if we were going to see that. Being a track like this that Darlington is, where you need to get off the throttle and really modulate your brakes and gas. We're curious to see if we had this pack type racing that iRacing has almost encouraged with the newest models of cars. It looks like that is not the case just yet. That might be a combination of a couple things. We mentioned the track, we mentioned the dirty air. We're also starting to see the tires really fall off very quickly. I'd be curious to see if that's what actually the drivers are experiencing, or if, for example, we see drivers really try to stretch it in this third and final stage. Will we see drivers take no tires and just fuel during that presumed green flag pit stop? Or will we see drivers not take it? The NORA B Series runs 85% of the Xfinity race length, and they also do 85% of the Xfinity car's limit of fuel. So a regular tank of gas holds that 100%. It gets 85% here. So everything a pretty much 1-to-1 ratio, if you will. Caution is out, and you see the number 9 of Justin White down on the low side. Let's take another look at what happened right there. You're paying attention to that black and green Toyota Supra with Bruce Ackerman right behind him in the 69, and just gets into the rear quarter panel right there. Looks like Ackerman just nowhere to go, or just didn't really want to move out of the way. As we'll ride along with the 69 and try to get a sense of what happened between those two drivers. The 69 with a huge run and just, yeah, so much speed getting carried on in. Didn't want to slow down because you saw the field starting to pull away a little bit. So I can't say I blame Ackerman one bit for that. You want to stay tucked on up to the field, but just a hard hit to the back end of the number 9. Number 9 able to kind of hang on, however. We'll see if Justin White remembers that later in the race. If we see him and Bruce Ackerman maybe dust on up a little bit again. And you see a couple drivers on pit road trying to top off, maybe make it to the end now. Dalton Tucker, a little bit of fuel, 5.8 seconds in the pits. Brian Powell following suit. Chad Engel as well. All the drivers topping off their fuel tanks, maybe trying to make this last until the end. This is one of the rare occurrences where we don't have an entire green flag stage 3. So you're already seeing the strategy start to play here a little bit. That's what's so cool about these stage breaks, is it can turn it into kind of one of these fuel mileage races. We'd love to see these. All different strategies. We'll see. Maybe we get another yellow, and then we'll see the drivers all come on in, all be on the same tires, or we might see guys stay out, or we might see guys take 2 tires. They do only get those 3 sets. They've used 2 at this point. All the drivers just came down pit road, except for maybe the exception of Sean Briscoe and Justin White. I'm not sure about those two. All getting tired, or all not receiving tires, excuse me. So everyone's still with pretty much 2 sets used and 1 to go. We'll wait and see if anyone chooses to use those. So as we head to the 1 to go, want to give a big shout out to Josh Conover, the league owner, and I believe founder, for putting on the NORA B Series Season 2. Like we said, 25 weeks long at this point, and still plenty to go. 8 weeks to go. And the playoffs just going to kick off the action. Playoffs starting in 2 weeks from now, September 23rd at Bristol. Should be a good one there. Phil getting lined back on up here. Lights out on the pace car. So we got 1 to go here. And you see all the drivers still running. Martin Plute has pulled it behind the wall. Everyone else on the lead lap, with the exception of the 0 car. That's Jake Boyer trying to get caught on up to the pack. Good luck at him right there. Trevor Apollo in the 90 going to lead us back to the green flag. Dalton Tucker, your stage 1 winner, all the way back there in 7th. Number 90 has had a couple jumps off of turn 4. He's going to make it 3, but Slauson and Cook, they were ready for it, and they're on it. They're going to try and break and stay with the number 90. It looks like they will. Cook with an excellent jump, staying within 1 car length of the number 90 as they head into turns 1 and 2. Through 1 and 2 and down the back chute. There they go, 2 by 2, with the exception of those 2 black cars further on back. They sort themselves out, and we're single file once again here at Darlington. Such a wide track, but also so narrow at the same time, as you can go all the way below that white line you see on the track. But it gets pretty slick down there, and you'll see the cars slide up, maybe out of control at times, if they do choose to go down there. Further back in the pack, a couple battles for position. Brandon Andrews going to work on Bruce Ackerman. Further on up, Chad Engel trying to sneak by the number 5 of Brian Powell. Not able to do it just yet. 24 going to the low side of the 98. That's Tim Averill, who started to make his way back up toward the front. We saw Averill just get involved in a couple of incidents there earlier in the race. He's going to try to sneak underneath the 24 here in turn 3. Not able to do it just yet. But look at this battle going on behind. Drivers all stacked up. It's Ackerman, Powell, Briscoe, Engel, Tucker leading the charge here. But on those freshly cooled tires, drivers racing hard. And keep that in mind as this race goes on and we head to the later stages of this 3rd and final stage. Is how hard did you have to battle here in this stage? You see the number 5 of Brian Powell going to the bottom side of the 98. They're going to go 2 by 2 in turn 1. The 5 slides up in front of the 98. But right behind him, Briscoe, Engel, Ackerman, Andrews, all mixing on up. Ackerman gonna try and go to the low side, gonna try and make it stick so hard to go down there. You see the 29 just going to get a good run off. Almost touches the 69. They stay off each other, heading down the back straight. And Ackerman doing a great job of holding on in that bottom side. And he is going to complete the pass as they cross the start-finish line. Bruce Ackerman back up into the top 10. Up at your lead, Rapallo and Cook starting to do a little battle at each other. Cook just had an excellent run. He was turned away by Rapallo as Cook had pulled it in under a tenth of a second, only to get denied. And now Trevor Apollo, who's led 50 of the 84 laps run here tonight, continues to hold on to that lead here in stage number 3. Dalton Tucker, Cory Wharton, 5th and 4th respectively. We're going to see if the 20 and the 24 get together a little bit. A little bit of rivalry brewing between the two of them. And we've seen passes hard to come by, so we'll see if the 24 maybe sticks a bumper in there when he shouldn't. Or if the 20 machine closes the door with it being this late in stage number 3. Apollo opening up the gap now above half a second. You can pay attention to that. At the top of the ticker, your top 3 scored with their intervals in orange. Those are updated live, so you can see the gap opening up 0.6 of a second. And continuing to open up between Rapallo and Cook. Do Slauson and Wharton have enough to jump up toward the front, or is Trevor Apollo going to pull away? Todd Slauson trying to hold on. We talked about Slauson having that string of bad luck. Will Slauson flip it on his nose here at this point, or are we waiting for something else to happen? He's almost to the tail end of Drayton Cook in the 89. The Slauson might have some speed to go on up and catch Trevor Apollo in that number 60. Now 1 second back. Drayton Cook might have a little bit of issue with that car. 22 up into the wall. You just saw it right there. Heads to the bottom. I think he's trying to get out of the way, but unintentionally blocks Cory Wharton in the 20, who now has to wash up the track and losing a ton of ground to the 24. Let's take another look at that one, because that was an interesting little debacle there. The number 20 and the 24. 24 goes high, 20 goes low. And I think Slauson expected the 20 of Wharton to go up the track a little more than he did. As you're going to take another look at it, riding on board here with Cory Wharton. I think he just expected the 22 to see him. The 22 did not. And one more look at it here from the onboard of the 24. Just an excellent feel right there. As Tucker slides up the track and into third place, he's now trying to track down Drayton Cook in the second spot. I tell you, one driver that did not like that outcome, Trevor Apollo, up at the top spot. You know, is the only driver who can really challenge him, or who has challenged him all race long, the 24 of Tucker. Cook really holding on in that second spot, so do not count out Drayton Cook in the 89 here just yet. He's going to pull over for Dalton Tucker. I think Cook definitely has the speed. We'll see if he can catch up to the 24. And the gap, 1.8 seconds. Pay attention to if that closes or opens in these next couple laps. We're at 30 to go here at Darlington. Quick check of the weather as we approach possibly green flag pit stops here shortly. 81 degrees outside, 89 degrees on the track. And Trevor Apollo having no problem in that Dollar General Toyota Supra. And Dalton Tucker trying to catch him. But let's ride for a lap with Trevor Apollo in the number 90. Having to be so patient on and off throttle, you can hear it right there. And then when you get back on it, you hammer down to get as good of a run through the corner as possible. But now up to 2.1 seconds and opening that gap is the number 90 of Trevor Apollo. Dalton Tucker trying to chase him down. 26 laps to go. Tucker, we think, might be good on fuel. Apollo is not. So pay attention to that. The number 90 needs to come down pit lane. Dalton Tucker in second and Sean Briscoe in third, who you're looking at right here, might be good on fuel. They pitted 10 laps after Apollo and company back 37 laps ago. Cory Wharton trying to hold off the 28 of Matthew George. George with a good little run right there, but it's thwarted by Wharton. Say that 5 times fast, and you see the 0 of Jake Boyer heading down a pit lane. He pitted 24 laps ago. Might be calling it a night with 25 to go, 2 laps down. Jake Boyer had a rough night here tonight after such an incredible run at Daytona last week. Hard to see the number 0 team struggle so much this week. 24 coming to 23 laps to go. Trevor Apollo has seen the gap slowly evaporate. It was above 2 seconds, now at 1.7. So Dalton Tucker saying, I need to open it up now. He's trying to make his way toward the front, but knowing in the back of his mind that he's good on fuel. Todd Slauson has come down pit lane. Same with Drayton Cook. Tim Averill as well. 9, 5, and 11 laps ago. Still waiting on a couple others who pitted now 39 ago. The 90 of Rapallo, the 69 of Ackerman, the 28 of George, and the 20 of Wharton. We'll see if they pit or if they try to stretch this until the end, and if Tucker has enough to make it. All these drivers that pitted under 30 laps to go should be good to go. Chad Engel is 29 to go. He might be on the fringe, but drivers like Todd Slauson, Drayton Cook, Tim Averill, maybe they pitted early enough that they're going to be able to pick up some spots as these guys slow on down. Those 3 drivers that I just listed also taking tires. 14.4 second stops for Slauson, Cook, and Averill. Wharton and George also starting to battle a little bit, and that's not what you want to see if you're conserving fuel. With someone going side by side with you, the 20 of George almost got to the 20 of Wharton, could not quite do it. And with 20 to go, we start to wonder, does Rapallo have enough? Does he still need to pit? The way he's racing at this point leads me to believe he might have enough to make it here tonight on fuel. Otherwise, I would have expected him to be down on pit lane maybe 5 or so laps ago, giving yourself enough time to make up that ground that you're going to lose heading to pit lane. And try to catch Dalton Tucker, who's now only 1.4 seconds back. That's the gap right there. You see Tucker slowly reeling it on in that Jurassic Park DuPont Toyota Supra. 18 to go. Rapallo doing his best to hang on. We'll wait and see if we see anyone else in those top guys bring it down pit lane. Will we see Matthew George? Will we see Cory Wharton? Will we see Bruce Ackerman come down pit lane? Or will all of them make it on fuel? Getting past lap traffic for the first time here tonight. Trevor Apollo, no issue there. 29 of Engel slides to the bottom. And that's going to make room for the 24 of Tucker to pass on the high side. And we've seen that be the preferred line all night long here in the NORA B Series. Darlington 125. 16 to go now. And we're starting to wonder, is there enough left in the tank? 16 to go is going to put you at about 63, 62 laps on a tank of fuel. I don't know that they can quite do that, but remind us, some of those laps under the yellow flag. We've had 3 cautions, 2 for stage breaks, and then that 1 caution in stage number 3. So counting those laps in, do the crew chiefs believe that the number 90 is good? Or will they have to come down pit lane and he's just holding out for a caution? That's also an option, that he's in too deep and just waiting for a yellow flag so everyone can come down pit lane and everybody can get fresh tires and fuel, assuming they have their third set left. Oh, in trouble for Bruce Ackerman. He's going to tap the wall off of turn 2. Brings it all the way down to the apron. A little bit of overcorrection. But in 3 and 4, he gets it sorted on out. And the 69 of Ackerman, that could have been disastrous. But able to save it and hang on to that Hardy's machine for the time being. Ackerman scored in 7th. He's got Andrews and White bearing down on him. Apollo in the top spot. Tucker in 2nd. Briscoe 3rd. George 4th. And that makes Wharton rounding out your top 5. A quick look at the top 10 as they run. Now Drayton Cook 1 lap down. Slauson joining him. Chad Engel and Tim Averill as well. Jake Boyer still on pit road. Still getting that car serviced. Now 6 minutes into that pit stop. We'll see if he's able to get back out on the racetrack before this one's said and done. Trevor Apollo still holding on. 12 laps to go. 50 laps on this current stint. And 11 laps to go. Will he make it? Will the engine start to sputter? Will the 24 be able to catch him? And if the 24 is able to catch, I wonder if the 36 might also be thinking, yeah, I can jump up there and do some battle too. You see how far away that red car of Dalton Tucker is heading into turn 1 right now. Sean Briscoe got some work to do, but definitely not out of the woods just yet. .52 coming to 53 laps on this stint. Apollo putting all his eggs in the I have fuel until the end basket. Gonna be so very close. He's able to hold Dalton Tucker at bay, not saving any kind of fuel. We'll see. Maybe he is clutching in the corners as we ride on board with the number 90. I tell you what, from up here in the booth, does not seem like the number 90 saving kind of fuel at all. Maybe he is good to the end. Here comes Drayton Cook trying to get his lap back. Pitted 20 laps ago. 34 lap fresher tires than the number 90, and you got to be aware of that as well. Tire wear and blown tires are rendered in iRacing now. They have been for a little while. So if you get too much wear on that right front, for example, that tire could go at any point, and that's got to be in the back of Trevor Apollo's mind as well. 7 laps to go, coming to 6 to go. Apollo in the number 90 has dominated. 85 laps led of the 120, make that 86 led of the 120 ran. And with 6 to go, Dalton Tucker looking out of his windshield, trying to figure out how he can catch the number 90 of Trevor Apollo. But no dice just yet. Everyone else out on the racetrack, pretty spread on out. Cory Wharton trying to catch the 28 of Matthew George and get a good finish here. Wharton needing a good finish, and Todd Slauson We talked about him not having good luck, and this might be another one of them. Went down pit lane, 27, now 28. Oh, and he's going to tap the back bumper of Trevor Apollo. And the number 90 in a little bit of peril here. He might be out of fuel. You hear the engine sputter right there. Yes, indeed, the number 90 is out of fuel. The 24 going to take on over. 4 laps to go here at Darlington. And a couple of those drivers, Matthew George, Cory Wharton, they're still out on the racetrack. And they're seeing Rapallo heading down pit lane. George, he's going to call it. He's going to come for a splash of fuel. Cory Wharton maybe trying to save it till the end. That would be a good third place finish with 3 laps to go. Big shift right here, and what I would imagine we watched the 24 hold on here in terms of fuel. 49 laps into this fuel run, heading towards 50. Cory Wharton, 59 laps into that fuel run. So he's going to cross the stripe with 2 to go here at Darlington. Tucker in first. He's got Briscoe well behind him. And Cory Wharton trying to hold on for third. 59 laps into that run. Will he have enough to make it 2 more revolutions around Darlington Raceway? You hear it right there, saving so much fuel throughout the corners. Cory Wharton doing his best to hang on, clutching in well before the corner, riding on through. And he's going to get the white flag here to see if he can hold on. The gap to Brian Powell behind him, 4 seconds. It sounds like that engine might be sputtering. Number 20 doing everything he can. The number 5 trying to pick it on up. And Dalton Tucker going to come around turns 3 and 4 for one last time and take the checkered flag here at Darlington. He will be your race winner. Dalton Tucker, 37 laps led. And the most important one, Briscoe in second. Looks like Powell going to be third. Cory Wharton trying to limp it on around. Will he do it? He's going to have the 95 of Andrews try and make up that ground. 9 seconds, 7 seconds. They fly on by. Brandon Andrews and Drayton Cook at the line. They touch. And Drayton Cook takes it at the line, finishing 4th, and 5th goes to Andrews. What a finish right there between those 2 drivers. Let's take another look at that one. Coming right toward the start-finish line, Cook had such a good run off of turn 4. Went from the outside back to the inside. Turned the 95 a little bit, who bangs into the door, and that might have been a little bit intentional. But the 89 able to survive, crosses the line first. Great job by him, and that's going to do it here at Darlington. Your race winner, Dalton Tucker, in the number 24 machine. A great race for him. And you saw that little splash of fuel coming from that caution flag paying off for the 24 machine. As he comes away first, and let's bring him into the booth, the number 24 of Dalton Tucker. We were just talking about that little splash of fuel that we thought, hey, maybe that'll pay off a little bit, and it turned off paying off big time. Talk about how that feels to win on a fuel strategy call like that.
Well, I've been screwed before because of stuff like that, so I was like, it's not a big field. I can come in, pit, get some tires, get some fuel, and if it goes to the end, we'll make it, and luckily it did.
Absolutely. Did you think at any point that Rapallo in front of you might have been able to stretch it just long enough, or were you pretty confident he was going to run out?
Oh, no, I knew he'd run out. The main goal I had was just push him, I guess, as hard as I could to make him stay ahead and not keep saving.
Absolutely. Well, talk us through the race here tonight overall. It looked like from up here in the booth that it was a little bit more difficult to pass. Darlington kind of being that awkward 1.5 grooves all night long. Kind of what did you experience throughout the race here tonight, Dalton?
Oh, that's definitely how it was. It's arguably one of the most tight Darlingtons I've ever driven, and you couldn't really get a run off of 3 and 4 just because of how tight it was, and that's almost really your only safe passing zone. Because if you go through 1 and 2 side by side, you're just asking for trouble on entry or exit, and really, you just kind of hoping that whoever's beside you is either nice or would just give you the spot.
Absolutely. We definitely saw that on a couple of the restarts. Everyone just trying to figure out where they fit in that single file line. So, definitely what you talked about there. Well, a big win for you here. And next week we had the Richmond and then the playoffs. Any big races you're looking forward to? There's Bristol, Vegas, and Charlotte, that first round of the top 12.
Uh, really just looking forward to Richmond because I know our points standings are getting close for the regular season title, and I'd love to be able to squeak that one out. Missed a handful of races in the season, so just that I'm close enough to make it a battle for the last race will be interesting. And uh, going into the chase, I like all the tracks, but none of them are really my best, and should be a good chase this year.
Absolutely. Well, congrats again on the win, buddy. And the floor is yours. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to before we send you to victory lane?
Just definitely got to give a shout out to all my teammates at Flatline Motorsports, and uh, definitely have to give a shout out to Jake Boyer for painting this car for me. I've always loved it. Big Jeff Gordon fan, and I mean, who wouldn't want to drive a car that basically got banned by the sport? So just big thanks to him. I know it's not easy putting it on a super like this, but I love the pain and appreciate my family for staying up and watching this. I know it's late for them back home, and they're on the old side, so they like to go to sleep. But appreciate them doing that.
Absolutely. Well, congrats again, buddy, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks, man.
That was Dalton Tucker, your race winner. Now we're going to bring in the number 2 finisher here tonight, Sean Briscoe, coming away second place by a margin of 2 seconds. And Sean, talk us through the driving here tonight. We saw it be pretty difficult to pass from up here in the booth, it looked like. What did you experience all night long?
About that, it was just really, really hard to pass. Uh, yeah, I just saved. I'm just reliving that extra, that last run. I just saved a little bit too much fuel. It's kind of killing me.
So talk us through that a little bit. We saw the 24 save just enough. We saw not enough from Rapallo in the number 90. What was your strategy? How much did you have left at the finish line there?
I was gonna back up, just try to. I'll just save as much as I can, save my tires, save everything, and then try to go with like 10 to go or something. Hopefully, someone will run out of gas. But yeah, I ended up saving a little too much and got like I think it was 6 or 5.5 laps left. So yeah, a little too much.
Just a smidge. Well, that's still going to be a second place finish for you, and that's very key heading toward this chase that starts here in 2 weeks. Next week's Richmond, and then Bristol after that. So talk us through those next 2 weeks, both being short tracks. What goes into your mind? Not only getting a good spot to go into the chase, but then starting off the chase on a good foot.
Well, I guess I'm gonna be gone for like a good 3 weeks. So tomorrow or next week, I probably won't even race, but I'm gonna try. I have to drive out of town, pick up some family, and then drive back, and hopefully we got enough time to run at least Richmond. But Bristol, I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be there, so I'm just kind of driving for fun, pretty much.
Well, no complaints about that. Driving for fun got you a second place finish here tonight. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to on the broadcast?
Everybody at SMS, and they help kind of push me. I try to help as much as I can. So those guys, Josh Conover for putting this together, you for broadcasting it. My dad and my uncle like to watch this stuff, so I send them the links every week, and I'm glad to get a podium to actually say hi to them.
Always a good time to do that. Well, Sean, congrats again on that second place finish. We'll talk to you again soon, all right?
And you have a good one.
Sean Briscoe coming away second. And hi to his family. Hope you guys enjoyed the good run from the 36 machine. Really quiet run all night long. We mentioned him a couple times throughout the broadcast, and then he quietly sneaks up in a second, being one of those drivers that kind of followed suit. And that pit strategy ended up really paying off there at the end. So last of our top three, the number 5 of Brian Powell joins us here in the booth now. And Brian, talk to us about that race, especially that third stage, just getting that little bit of fuel in the car and making it all the way to the end.
Yeah, definitely. Well, after the last caution came out, we all everyone in the team chat kind of just put our heads together and said, hey, if we pit here, we might have enough to get to the end. And if there's pretty good chance of everything going green here at Darlington. So we risked it and went ahead and pit, topped off with fuel, and it played out beautifully.
Absolutely. Well, talk us through the driving a little bit. We heard guys mention just how tough it was to pass. And did you experience similar? Did you think it was tight? We saw a bunch of drivers with right front damage, so I imagine there was something in there with that.
Yeah, coming in tonight, this is a new setup on the B car tonight, and it was extremely tight, very tight. It was pretty. It was kind of embarrassing on how tight this car was. But like anything, you just put some laps down and start getting used to the car and understanding what it's going to do, and seeing how far you had to back off going into the corners. Passing is incredibly tough on this track. It's almost impossible. If you almost have to time it out, where if someone's going to come out of the at a 2 or come out of 4 a little bit too high and touch the wall, they're going to scrub some speed, and if you can set them up and get to the inside and go around them, that's the ideal thing. But early on the runs with fresh tires, you had to make some dramatic moves on just trying to get as much positions as possible, because as soon as the tires wear out, as long as you if you could save a little bit of tire, that's going to help you out in the long run, obviously, and be able to make some passes. But everyone's so fast at the beginning, and if you can just get around the people just any way possible, it's huge on this track. So I'll tell you what, going into turn 1 too wide is not the ideal thing ever. It is so into there. And yeah, the best thing to do is just to set someone up coming out of the corner and just trying to get a run on them down the front stretch or the back stretch. That was probably the safest place to do it.
Absolutely. Well, turned out to be a pretty good run for you there in the number 5 machine. A good looking machine too, if we might say so ourselves. Do you want to talk about that paint at all before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely. I gotta give a shout out to Jake Boyer on the Fireball race team. He painted me an awesome car to come run the number 5 for him tonight, the NOS Energy. But yeah, I got to thank Jake on a lot of things. Jake's our iRacing painter, and he paints everything from dirt to asphalt, and we have some really nice looking cars because of that guy, and I appreciate it a lot.
Well, fantastic. Brian Powell coming away 3rd place here tonight. Congrats again, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for broadcasting us as well.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. That's Brian Powell coming away in that 3rd spot, and let's take you through the finishing order here, brought to you by the NORA B Series. So for the Darlington 125, Dalton Tucker with another win, and you heard him talk. That regular season finale looking pretty ripe for picking there at Richmond. He's going to try and sneak his way into that regular season title. Sean Briscoe comes away 2nd, right behind him. Brian Powell, fun to talk to the number 5 team here tonight. Don't know if we've talked to Brian up there in the booth, but he comes away 3rd. Drayton Cook could not hold on. He finishes 4th. Brandon Andrews in 5th. Justin White in the number 9 machine finished 6th. Todd Slauson in 7th. And I really struggle with Slauson because 7th, while it's not a bad finish, he ran top 5 really all night long, and just an unfortunate circumstance in terms of pitting for that fuel drops him all the way to 7th. Cory Wharton, we saw the number 20 try his hardest to stay out for as long as possible and could not do it. Ran out of fuel on the final white flag lap and dropped all the way from 2nd to 8th. So Cory Wharton, a tough break right there, finishing 37 seconds down. Chad Engel, who first car lap down, finishes 9th, and Trevor Apollo, having to go and get fuel, goes all the way from 1st to 10th in those final 3 laps. Tim Abril comes away 11th, 1 lap down. Matthew George in the 28 follows suit in 12th. Matthew George is one of those drivers also had to come down pit lane very late. We thought George would start to mix it on up a little bit, but he was one of those drivers just tried to make it to the end. He called it with 2 to go and ended up 1 lap down. Bruce Ackerman got a bit of damage to the 69 machine and had to drop all the way to 13th. 14th is Jake Boyer in that 0 car. And big shout out to all the guys, from all his guys that he did the paint for, and not only their cars, but his cars looked fantastic here tonight. In rounding out your field, Martin Plute finishes 15th in the number 12, 88 laps down. So that's going to do it for us here, up here in the booth. I know we got to give a big shout out to Josh Conover for running race control all night long as well. Definitely a difficult job to do. No easy task. And they do a great job of it here in the NORA B Series, where we get very little complaints about the officiating here in the race, and that makes for some great racing action when the green flag hits. So for one more time here tonight, congrats again to Dalton Tucker coming away on the win and the rest of the top 3. For everyone else that enjoyed, same time, same place next week as we head to Richmond for the regular season finale. And that's going to set us up for that round of 12, those chase races at Bristol, Vegas, and the Charlotte Roval in those following 3 weeks. Hope you enjoyed here tonight. Always a pleasure bringing you the NORA B Series here on YouTube. And until next time, stay safe. Stay doing great. We will talk to you guys again soon. Until